And Mahomes at bay.
The Tampa Bay Bucks, Super Bowl 55.
Hello and welcome to the 40th ever episode of the Bucs Banter podcast. As always, I am your host, Collin Hallboom, and I'm joined by my trusty co-hosts. What's going on, Bodan Yard, Scott Capron? How we doing this evening?
Feeling good, man. How you feeling?
Great, man. I'm feeling great. This is arguably the best weekend of the NFL season. You could argue.
Dude, I love. Hey, man. Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Really, I love this. I love this set of 4 games. Probably, usually the 8 best teams, or at least the 8 hottest teams in a lot of cases. And let's go. Can't wait.
I would definitely say this is the best weekend in football. It's basically like 6 to 8 elite quarterbacks every time, and it's just good football.
Yeah, and I mean, you could make an argument, I guess, for the championship weekend next weekend, but there's just more games, and they're all like, look at the lines. We got 3 games in and around a field goal.
Yeah,
as you mentioned, tons of great players. So
and then the other one is like the darling of the league, right? Like the 6-point dog are the Niners, and nobody's ruling them out right now. Nobody wants to play them, so yeah, it's an awesome set of 4 games. I know we're obviously going to get into them all, but like Bengals-Titans, like, give it to me, man. I can't wait to talk about that game, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, there's fun little storylines and subplots that exist in each one of these matchups, and that's why we wanted to hop on for an extra episode this week, going on a Friday, some Friday night banter for anyone who's available and cares to listen. And as always, this episode will be streamable later via your preferred podcast destination. So you'll be able to download this later if you aren't catching us live. What we're going to do is we're just going to break down each of these games. So we're going to start in chronological order of when they're going down. So we're going to cover the Saturday games first, Cincy, Tennessee, San Fran, Green Bay, and then we're going to talk about the Bucs versus the Rams, of course, and finish off with a doozy of a matchup between the Bills and the Chiefs. So not as Buccaneers central or focused as our episodes usually are, a little bit more of an NFL-wide focus this evening, as it should be. But obviously the Bucs are still going to be heavily discussed this evening because they're still alive, baby.
We'll put some Bucs flavor on all of these games, I'm sure.
I think they'll come up. I don't know, just a hunch. I feel like they'll be mentioned a few times. So
yeah, you'll get your Bucs fix, folks. And before we started, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, please don't hesitate to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bucs Banter. Helps us out a great deal, gets us involved in that algorithm so that our name will pop up when people are searching for Bucs or NFL content. So that is always appreciated. Some people up in the comments already: Willow, Jason, Abraham, coming in on Facebook. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. As is the case, we as always, we are open to discussing whatever you guys bring to the table. So we'll periodically be checking in on the comments. But let's get started. We got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans. Games in Tennessee. Titans are favored by 3.5. This game's going to be kicking off at 4:30 p.m. on CBS tomorrow. I'm really excited to see how these two very different teams match up in this game. I mean, you got Cincinnati coming off their first playoff win in 31 years. They've got that new school swagger. They're the high-powered offense, more of a finesse style of play. And then you got the Tennessee Titans, who employ more of an old school ground and pound, trench warfare, time of possession kind of approach. So also, to take it a step further, I mean, Cincy's obvious weakness is on their offensive line. That's been well documented. And the Titans have a fantastic D-line, like probably one of the more underrated units in the NFL, really. Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons, all those guys are going to cause problems for a weakness for the Bengals. And on the other side, Tennessee's not great at defending the pass, 25th in the league. So, with the Bengals' high-octane offense, especially through the air, one of the most potent in the entire league, that is another strength versus weakness. So this game could go a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
I should mention, though, since Cincinnati's defense isn't exactly an impenetrable fortress on the back end either, so I think they're actually ranked lower than Tennessee's. But and lastly, what I'm going to say, just teeing this up, is the Titans managing to secure the number 1 seed in the AFC despite
unreal,
right? Yeah. Like despite a very modest 12-5 record. It's quite the subplot to the whole postseason, and really just an incredible set of circumstances for them as a team.
You'd have to go back and look at it, but there's an argument that that's one of the worst. I don't mean like, let's just say surprising number 1 seeds ever. Like ever. Obviously, the 2 teams that end up with 1 seeds each year are generally like juggernauts, right? You don't kind of trip and slip and end up into that spot. But 12-5 with the parity in the AFC this year was enough to get it done, even with all those weeks that they missed Henry. Just wild. I would love to see what price you could have gotten on Tennessee to be the 1 seed after Henry got hurt. But if that was offered, then I'm sure some people cashed a pretty penny there. Yeah, man, it just good for them. Weird season, and it shows with Tennessee being the 1 seed. So
this is kind of like the watershed game for Collin and I's friendship, right? Because he's a huge Bengals guy. He's in love with Joe Burrow. Like secretly he's running a Bengals fan account. I don't know if the Bucs Banner fans know about that, but also for me, all season I've been Tits Island, always riding with the Titans, and it's just like, here we go. Right off the bat, we get to find out who is AFC darling was the right one all along. I can't wait for this game.
And the fact that these 2 teams are so different is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just which one gets to play at the pace that they want to, kind of play the game that they want to. And I really think the first possession of the game, whoever gets the ball, takes is going to determine a lot, right? Because
it's totally an impose your will game. That's for sure.
Yeah. And hey, if Cincy gets the ball and scores, it's not like Tennessee's out of the game, but Tennessee does not want to go down 2 scores, right? Yeah. Like they just don't. And that doesn't mean they have to avoid the run or like stop giving Henry the ball. And also, sidebar, let's see how Henry looks. It's not like they don't have other guys who can run and who can make plays in the run game, but if Henry is a go, and which he's supposed to play, obviously, then they're going to try to get him the ball. It's just like the first half of the first quarter is going to be fascinating to me. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, it really is just an incredible set of circumstances for the Titans as a team, right? Like, because not only did they get the extra rest as a group, but biggest headline entering the game, as you just mentioned, of course, is that Derrick Henry is returning, and he's slated to start now. I'm curious, how big of a role do you guys expect him to have for the Titans in his first game back after this serious foot injury that sidelined him since week 8? Like, what do you project? I understand we're not doctors or anything, but what do you think?
I don't know if I can project stats, but I think he's going to be heavily evolved right away. Not just in the running game. I think just the threat of him being on the field just opens up their play action so much. And you talk about Cincinnati's backhand. I actually don't hate their corners, but their linebackers and pass coverage have been awful all season. Their safeties are what they are. I think they've got a pretty good defensive backfield, but when you have that play action threat and the over the middle guys that AJ Brown is and Julio still is to some extent as well too, right? If you can figure out a way to get those crossing routes, you're going to pick up a lot of yards through the air and make Tannehill have some really easy reads. So yeah, I could see Derrick Henry. Maybe he doesn't get that 70-yard burst right off of the bat in this game, but the threat of that is just going to be hanging over Cincinnati's defense all game.
If I'm Cincinnati, I'm making Henry show it to me first. Let's see how he actually looks. You know what I mean? Like
load up on the pass, you're saying?
Well, yeah. I just need to. I need to know early on in the game exactly how fresh he is. Can he make cuts? Like he was out for a long time here, and now he's just going to be into a playoff game. And who knows? Maybe he looks fine. Like I'm not. And then obviously then you change your scheme accordingly. Sorry, Con. I know you asked to kind of prognosticate what's going to happen here. I think Tennessee's going to do everything they can with how he feels and just totally base it off of that and go from there. I mean, it's not. They haven't been a train wreck without him. They're obviously not the same without him, but Bo is a little bit higher just on Cincinnati's secondary. than I am. I think, but like he mentioned, I think there's going to be some crossers as long as Tannehill has time to hit A.J. Brown over the middle of the field, even, if Julio needs to get involved as well. Obviously, he's not the same guy that he was, but he can still beat someone one-on-one and make a play on a ball, right? So I don't know. Like, I just Tennessee has to avoid 3rd and long, and if they can do that, I think they're going to have a great shot because they don't mind, kind of meticulously moving the ball down the field.
No, that's like their MO, right? So I think he's going to be heavily involved just because that is just what the foundation of their success has been. And yeah, did you guys know that I saw today that Derrick Henry, I believe, has the highest rushing average per game in postseason football all time in terms of yards per game?
Makes sense.
You want to take a stab at who's number one? I mean,
number two.
Sorry,
Henry's number 2.
Oh, Henry's number 2.
Yeah, there's someone who has a higher yards per game average as a running back. I mean, there's been a lot of running backs in NFL history, and I'm putting you both on the spot.
How many games did he play? 1?
But not a long career, this player, that's for sure. But let's say incredible couple seasons.
Terrell Davis.
Yes, sir. Ding, ding.
Oh,
ding.
wow.
That's it.
Not a long career gave that one away. It would have been Davis or Gale Sayers, but I don't know what he did.
I was about to say Chris Johnson.
It wasn't Barry Sanders.
Tough team with the Lions. Terrell Davis, unbelievable, man. God, he was so good. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, running back was generally viewed as a sexier position back then. And when I was a kid watching TD Terrell Davis churn the pill, turn those legs, he was fantastic in those Super Bowls, man. But yes, like you're totally right in terms of Julio being there, and AJ Brown. Like the Titans seem to have they're coming together at the right time, right? And that's why I opened it up by discussing, them getting that bye was just so significant for them as a group, just where they're at. And of course, it would have been for whatever team got it, but them in particular with Derrick Henry coming back. I mean, Julio Jones, obviously, he's going to keep a defense honest no matter what. So even if that's all he's there for, it's unfortunate his hamstring is not a ligament, but like an icicle or something, because it just seems like it's constantly just getting ripped away. Like I don't want to call it glass because that's played out, but it feels like more like an icicle, I figure.
I know. But I agree. Like I still think he can make a play. I still think he can make a big play in a playoff game like this. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how much respect he garners from the Bengals because, with Henry and A.J. Brown out there, those are obviously options 1 and 2. And, we'll see if that opens it up for anyone else on Tennessee.
Yeah. But what about to me, it's like the Bengals can't win this game without it being a shootout. Like, I feel like that's the only type of game that they win. Either shootout or blowout, right?
And I think they can, right? Like, Chase is that good. And I know it's crazy because it's football and like so much has to happen, but to have that one guy who is like, he's essentially a bucket getter, like from a basketball comparison standpoint, right? Like just give him the ball and he can do whatever you need. So like I said, that's why I think whoever gets out to a lead, it's so imperative in this game just to see how the actual flow goes. But it's going to be rocking there too. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Like Nashville has shown out here for the Predators and the Titans in home playoff games recently. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we'll get to picks. I love Joe Burrow, man. And I could absolutely see this being a spot where he's just the best player on the field. And it's wow. Okay. Yep. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league and like good luck beating a top 5 quarterback in the league when he's on fire. Right. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for because I really love this Bengals team and I'm I don't have anything against the Titans, but kind of the way I'm leaning right now, especially with those 3.5 points as the line stands. But God, I don't know. I just anytime you get to watch Burrow and Chase play is great. So let's get that going.
Yeah, I mean, like offensively, Joe Burrow with those weapons, like can't forget about T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd as well. Like those are incredibly serviceable depth at that position, right? So it's not even like they're just depending exclusively on Chase either. Like T. Higgins could easily go off. Like say they're just going to completely bracket Jamar Chase, then T. Higgins is more than capable of stepping up and having a big day as well. He's done it a bunch this year and last year as well as a rookie. So
yeah, and he's huge, right? Like he's a great red zone target. Strong hands. I love T. Higgins. You can see him making a big play for sure. And to have not only competent second and third guys like Boyd and Higgins, but like above average. I don't know where you guys would rank them or how you.
They're good. They're really
good. Like they're just give him time to throw. If the Bengals line can hold up this game, I really like them. I like them to score enough points to win.
But that's where it falls apart for me, right? And like obviously I'm going to pick the Titans here, but the defensive line for the Titans is it's a very big step up from what the Raiders were able to bring out there last week. I think just when you got Bud Dupree, like they're going to get a lot more pressure coming from the edges at Joe Burrow. And as much as Max Crosby is great, I just don't see this line holding up for a second week. And the Titans are so fresh. I like Mike Vrabel over Zach Taylor, like basically any week of the season, but especially in the playoffs where he's got an extra week. Like he's basically been studying this team for however long. And then I just think that the Titans offense is way more multiple. Like if they do what you're saying, Scott, and just kind of say, okay, let's see Derrick Henry approve it. Like, I don't know. If I was coming back from injury and I was Derrick Henry, I would welcome that. I would want to be the game to be a little bit slower for me, or for there be a few less guys in the box for me, and you load up on the pass. There's just too many ways for the Titans to win this game. To me, I just can't see. As much as I still have a soft spot for the Bengals and for Jamar Chase, and I love everything they're doing. I just think they're another year away from being that contention team.
That's probably like spot on, right? Like they're probably a year ahead even right now, and would definitely be a year ahead of making the AFC Championship game. So like from like narrative, big picture, like everyone, like each team is on an arc or whatever. I totally understand that, and Tennessee's good, right? Like they're not bad at all. The thing about Henry. Listen, I'm not suggesting that the Bengals aren't making him number one on on the stop list or the number one priority for their defense. I just want to see exactly how he looks. I guess
it's fair
is what I'm getting. I know what you're
saying. I could totally see Zach Taylor saying that too. And like I'm just saying from Derrick Henry's perspective, I'd be like, if there's a few less guys, I'm not facing 8 in the box every time I run it, even though I'm used to that. That's actually would be nice for me as I'm coming back from injury.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, he's so effing good. Like, whatever. Right. So
it might not matter. If he's right, it might not matter.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, turnovers. And I think whoever starts hot, it's going to be hard to come back on either team. I think just with the way each team is built. So, yeah, man, it's going to be great.
Yeah, and the other thing, Bo, like I love, by the way, how you set this up with that discussion about our like low key rivalry, Titans versus Bengals, because that's so accurate, and I didn't even really think of it. So appreciate that challenge. Fun fact: Joe Burrow has thrown 15 touchdowns of 30+ yards this season, and no other quarterback has more than 8. So just wow. Another little feather in the cap of Joe Burrow and the explosiveness of this offense.
How many air yards on that though? Because I bet there's a few like the slant to Jamar Chase and he just takes it for 80, right?
Yeah,
there are at least a couple of those. That's for sure.
But you know what? There's a lot of other quarterbacks who have players capable of getting yards after catch and taking the distance too. True. So, true. And that's 15. 8 is the next highest, so it's a pretty significant margin.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But I'm with you too, Bo. I do think that you hit it nail on the head talking about that O-line. I think this is a whole different animal than it was with the Raiders. Raiders barely send pressure either. Titans are known. What's their Shane Brown's his name, their defensive coordinator. He's very good at hiding what he's doing, I guess. So despite the fact that they're not super awesome at stopping the pass. They've received he's received a lot of credit for being able to misdirect the opposition. So who knows?
They depend on that. They play that Tampa too, but they just kind of disguise it every play. It might be the exact same play call, but the way that it looks pre-snap is just really tough to figure out for opposing quarterbacks.
Right. And then you got Burrow, who's, if anything, like maybe part of what makes him so fun to watch and have so many how they plays is he's not afraid to hold on to the ball. He's not afraid to take a hit. He's not afraid to try and extend the play. But at the same time, when you're playing that kind of defense, it's just for a young quarterback, it's a lot to process. So we'll see how that plays out. Do you guys want to offer our picks either against the spread, both, or now, or should we do it at the end, all the games?
Let's go now. Let's
go now. Yeah,
maybe
try to recap it at the end. See if we remember what we're doing.
All right. Yeah. Like I'll go first, I guess. I think like if I'm a betting man, I'm going to take Cincy plus 3.5. That being said, I'm not super confident they're going to win the game. Like I do think Tennessee is as much as they're an underwhelming number one seed in either conference. I don't know how they would fare against like the 5th seed in the NFC, for example. I just think they're a little more built for this type of football game at this point.
Tennessee was an underdog to San Fran like 3 weeks ago at home.
There you go.
Right. Exactly. Which is like pretty telling as to what Vegas actually thinks of these teams. Right. So,
and San Fran looks better since then, if anything.
Yeah.
Right?
And they should have, that was a bizarre game. That was the game where Garoppolo got hurt and he played in the second half anyway and looked just awful. But I'm gonna take the Bengals. I'm gonna take the Bengals 27-21 in a bit of a nail biter, but by about 6. 27-21 Bengals. Let's roll.
I'm going the opposite. I'm going with the Titans. I think they win it like 21-10 or something like that. Like I think it's kind of a low scoring game, but the Titans are never in doubt.
Yeah, I'll say, I guess since we're doing scores, I'll say 31-28 for the Titans. They're going to end up putting up points against the Bengals defense. They're going to win by Bengals will cover, but they'll lose the game.
Well, we really have all three angles covered there, guys. Well done.
One of us is winning. One of us is walking out the sports.
So anyone who's listening, just bet all those three, then you're set. It's easy.
I never like doing score predictions. I find it's just such a crapshoot with all the numbers.
It's tough to figure out on the fly.
It's just easier to pick the winner. You're right.
Scoregami, Scott over here loves it. So he's always waiting for that scoregami to hit.
Yeah, we've talked about this, but one of my favorite things is when you see like the prognosticators on Twitter or whatever, and they give a score that's just completely almost impossible, like just the way scoring works. It's like, oh yeah, you like the Titans by 7? Yeah, 18-11. Yeah, I think they're going to win this one 18-11. Really? Because that would be the first time in the history of football for a 7-point game to land on that. That's where you're going. Not 17-10. You picked 18. Yeah. Anyway, I love that. I think it's so funny.
Yeah. Just an additional benefit, by the way, this weekend. It's so nice too. Like you have the day beforehand tomorrow. Like that game the first game of the day doesn't kick off till 4:30. You can put in time with the wife or partner and kids and feel like a contributing member of society, and then go ahead and be a piece of and watch football on your couch and slam.
We were just talking about this.
Yeah,
the game kicks off at 4:30. You get your first drink around 4. You start feeling good. You've done some stuff right around the house, if that's what's required, whatever, possibly gone to the grocery store, and then you're ready to rock. And it's like, all right, that's an acceptable time to start drinking.
I'm getting going at 2:30. I don't care.
Oh, sorry. The mountain man out there. Yeah, for sure.
You got a pregame, of course, right? You don't see the networks just turning the game on as soon as it starts, right? They tee that thing up for hours.
It's a whole thing. Maybe a nap mixed in there, a spa, some sort of spa situation. Anyway, whatever people need to do to get ready, right? Like no judgment here.
Always comes back to the spa with you, eh?
I love how it's I don't think I've ever been to one. I was like, someone was touching my feet. I'd be like, oh, please stop doing that.
So the second game of the Saturday slate, We just talked about them, the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Lambeau. I think the weather's not going to be too bad this year, I saw, but I don't know if I just saw that in passing or maybe somebody give us a weather check. But the Packers, obviously coming off their bye week, so they're going to be well rested. They're favored by 5.5. Last I checked, that game's teeing off at 8:15 p.m. on Fox. Obviously, I think like this is a fun one too, man. All these games are great. As we mentioned off the top, this is the biggest spread of the weekend, but you can't tell me you don't think San Francisco has a legitimate shot. I mean, they even though they just squeaked that win out, they looked like the better team against Dallas that whole game last weekend, wild card weekend. They've already beat Green Bay this year. What's that?
Green Bay beat them.
Oh shit! Sorry, Green Bay did win,
but it took a miracle. Took a miracle. Rodgers.
Right. Little clock mismanagement on the side of the 49ers.
Yes, absolutely. It was a Sunday nighter, and they left him too much time, and then Crosby drilled one. But it was an awesome game.
Yeah, so 30-28. It was a close game.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, they're going to have a legit shot. Bosa's going to be playing, which is huge for them.
Massive.
Right.
And Warner's in too, right?
Yeah.
He left the game late too.
He laid any doubts of his availability to rest like real quick time after that last game. So, that Fred Warner wants to be out there playing. But anyway, I think there's a lot of pressure on the Packers in this game, and I feel like the Niners are kind of going to come in with that. We got nothing to lose. Of course, Jimmy G is banged up, but when hasn't he been? For Christ's sake, I feel like it's always
Jimmy G's got a little bit of that Ben Roethlisberger rope-a-dope. I think I might retire. I'm so injured type of vibe to him.
Yeah, man.
Like Jimmy, like if you're hurt, you're just going to excite your fans because they want to see your backup in there as much, if not more, buddy. Like
quick aside, where are you guys on like injury prone guys? Because
in football,
like, do you
or just in general?
Just in general in sports, because like, do you really think there's something to their makeup or what? Like, or do you think it's just terrible luck for these people?
Can I answer this, Bodan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a good person
to hear.
Yeah, you are.
I think it's absolutely a combination of the two. I think it could go either which way, right? Yeah. I think it's similar to the nature versus nurture debate in parenting. Yeah. And that may seem like a stretch or whatever, but it just is so true. I think there's some people who just have horrible luck. There's some people whose bodies and physiology may be built a certain way under the surface that you're not aware of, where they are more prone to getting injuries just that way. But I think it could be either or. And I think there's some people who, unfortunately, like, I don't want to point fingers. Maybe it's a bit of both. Like, I don't know. Maybe they literally drew the short stick and get both. So
for every Ben Roethlisberger, I would say there's a Brandon Roy, is the way that I would put it.
Yeah.
It's like there's like this guy who's just perennially hurt and just kind of plays. And there's a guy that's like unbelievable. He plays, and then all of a sudden he's hurt and he can't play again. And it's the worst. I don't know. I think there are different makeup. Like Ben Roethlisberger isn't the same in my head as Brandon Roy.
See, but then you look at LeBron James and it's just like, what? Like, how?
Yeah, that's just genetic
fruit. Brady.
Yeah.
Or Brady, yeah.
But still, the pounding on the body of LeBron compared to Brady is totally different. Like,
of course, I just mean, but like nothing. I mean, Brady obviously had the one catastrophic one, but like never. He had, right? Yeah. Like it's wild.
It is actually incredible. Of course, you're right.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks still get hurt all the time. They're playing football.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I'm excited to watch this game. You know what? Another thing I'm excited to watch is these two offenses because LaFleur and Shanahan are gonna want they're viewing this game as a mano-a-mano from a play caller perspective, right? They're two of the youngest, trendiest, most popular offensive minds in the game.
LaFleur worked for him, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I know they all worked together along with McVay in Washington at a point. So they're all from that same older Shanahan brain trust, obviously. But I think they're gonna want to bring out all the stops. Of course they will. Every coach does, right? No one's saving anything. I'm not saying that. I just think might be a little extra mustard.
Well, there's definitely something to the McVay, Shanahan, Rams, Niners thing, right? And I can only imagine like that's going to extend towards this to the LaFleur Shanahan dynamic as well. Because these guys, they're competitive as fuck. They all want to be the best. And like you said, like they were all on the same staff. And the fact that they're now all thriving, 3 of them are in these last 4 as the NFC is really telling. I can't wait to watch this game. The really interesting part to me is it's going to be absolutely freezing in Green Bay, and Rodgers has a astronomical record, both at home in general and also when it's below a certain temperature.
Cold weather guy.
But doesn't it suit San Fran better?
Yeah.
Don't you don't you love their run game creativity in this sort of spot? And also, Jimmy Garoppolo he went to Illinois. He played for the Patriots. He's not, he didn't grow up in Hawaii or something like that's the way the media wants to point it out whenever anyone has to play a playoff game in Green Bay, right? That, the other team has never seen snow or anything cold before, right? Like, as if they're saying that everyone on the Packers is from, either Canada or Minnesota or something, right? So anyway, I just think that part is actually super interesting because obviously Green Bay is traditionally great in these spots at home when it's cold, but from an actual team building perspective, I think it suits San Fran just as well.
Really interesting point, Scott, and a damn good one. Like I just picture Deebo Samuel being tougher than everyone else in cold weather,
Yeah.
By the way,
also just talking about their run game, like San Francisco was a completely different team and more suited to. They didn't have the same run game in week 3, is what I'm trying to say. In week 3, I think I just pulled it up. Deebo had 2 carries for 0 yards.
This is a recent development. Them being like Shanahan being like, you know what? Screw it. This doesn't need to be a gimmick a couple times. Like we're gonna run this guy until he shows he can't do it like the most effective running back on our team, which he has been. It's incredible.
Exactly. And they had Trey Sermon still at that time, running the ball. I think he had 10 carries for 31 yards. This is a completely different team that Green Bay is coming up, and a team that's much more prepared to play them in this style of football. It's a much more playoff football friendly idea. The one thing with Green Bay that I think we're forgetting about a little bit is Bakhtiari. I think he might be back. I think it's 50-50 if he plays. I think he might be a game time decision.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that as well. Zadarius Smith's back.
Zadarius Smith is back. Jair Alexander, I think, could be back as well too.
Yeah, Merciless. They're getting all their reinforcements back, it seems.
Green Bay is a different team as well.
Absolutely, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah,
they're legit on D now. They've really chipped away well. Not to say their window's going to be open forever, but you're right. They're potent. I mean, they're the favorite.
I cannot wait for this game. I remember, I think it was 2012 or 2011 when they played in the divisional round, I'm pretty sure. And it was Kaepernick's kind of coming out party against the Packers, a playoff game. I remember it really well because it was the first night I ever actually hung out with my wife, or my wife to be. And I remember it so clearly because there was a group of Packers fans that were sitting there in the pub that we were hanging out in. And then before the game, I kept on going up to them and being like, hey, what do you guys think of this game? What do you guys think? And they're like, oh, we're going to roll. And with every time that Kaepernick took the ball and was just gashing them for 20 to 30 yards, I'd look over to them and they'd be hands in there. They'd be calling the waitress over for another pitcher of beer. They literally could not get away from how horribly it was going. And it's kind of set up the exact same way. San Francisco's coming in with this really different run game that is tough to predict, and this game changer that's back there in the backfield that they didn't see all season in Kaepernick and now in Deebo Samuel. And there's a lot of similarities, and these two teams have such a storied history. I just can't wait to see what happens.
Damn, boy, that was well done.
Yeah,
wow.
There.
First
and
of
look
all,
at
the day off today, you can tell.
So adorable.
Look at Josh Allen in the bottom window here, just waving defenders off like it's no issue. Looking like a Bills quarterback here, shoving away his defensive end dog named Autumn. Well done, Ben.
She's what you saw those kisses. She's vicious. She's like the Chiefs defensive line.
No, she's Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy would be the
that's true. That's true. Well, Bowden, that was just a lovely story. But I totally agree. Like Niners-Packers just feels like one of those great games. I feel like the trio of Niners, Cowboys, and Packers in the NFC are kind of like the nostalgic stalwarts kind of thing. And then it's funny that we're seeing Niners, Cowboys, and the Niners, Packers the next week, right? So that's pretty cool.
It's like the Saturday late time slot for them too. It's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, man. And that's how fun is that going to be? I'm kind of, I made this point about the Bills-Pats last week, but how fun is that going to be in Green Bay Saturday night? A little snowy, the cheeseheads getting out there. Like that's going to be so fun. But Debo is as good as anyone in the NFL. He's as valuable as anyone. Let's put it that way. Just what he brings. I can't wait to see it. I think San Fran gets out to a lead, and then it's just does Rodgers do what he always does and brings them back because he's that good. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Is that what happens? I don't know, man. What a game. This is sweet.
It's kind of fucking insane that we got to this far, and I'm like, I don't know how to pick this game. I hope we're not going to make picks on this one, but like,
we're just leaving this one out.
Yeah, it's just insane that we got this far and nobody said Davante Adams yet. Davante Adams maybe is the best wide receiver in the league, if that's not named Cooper Kupp. But Davante Adams, he's just like he's another game breaker on the other side. Like there's nobody faces a guy like this all year that can just like absolutely change the priority of all of your defensive backfield.
You guys are really like just taking the words out of my mouth. It's really nice. Like I'm just sitting back here and listening to just a lovely debate here, like very well thought out perspectives. And I say that because my question I had written down that I've like highlighted that I've been waiting to jump in and ask is, who do you think has been more valuable to their team this season, Davante Adams or Deebo Samuel?
And it's a really good question because I think Davante Adams is probably the most disrespected best wide receiver in the league ever. You need like 2 to 3 guys to cover him. If you're going to play man, you need 2 to 3.
Yeah, he's the best in the game right now. Like you're not taking Kupp over him going into next season for your team.
It'd be tough too. Yeah.
And then whatever. They're both really good. Like Kupp is unbelievable.
There's more names in the conversation. I'm just trying to emphasize how great Davante Adams is.
Yeah, and that's totally fair.
Okay, but if we're just talking about this year, those are the top 2.
Oh
yeah.
Like it's just like those guys were in a different category than a different tier than everyone else this year.
Yeah, and then you got Jamar Chase shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
Cole Beasley was
Justin
in his
Jefferson.
own. Cole Beasley was in his own unvaccinated tier. I don't know if that's kind of a. Oh, you're talking about like statistical football. Oh, my bad. Yeah. True. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Collin, to your point, I don't think the Niners sniffed the playoffs without Deebo, and I do think the Packers maybe more of a byproduct of their division still probably win that division even without Davante. But splitting hairs, reasonable people could disagree. I think.
I'll take this one. Tim Witherspoon on Facebook says I would take Mike Evans over either of those two. I mean, that's a fair take. I understand. Mike Evans is a special player, and I think the reason he isn't mentioned in that same breath is likely because he's been super unselfish. He's had to share with a lot of other guys. I mean, Davante Adams is getting all the touches over there. Okay, so there's no doubt Mike Evans has the ability and like consistency over the course of his career to be in the same breath as those guys. He's not though. He's not quite there.
He's never had this situation with the elite quarterback and no other target.
Right. He had it with Jameis or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like preceding Jameis. So it's a really tough debate. That's totally reasonable. I would never rip on you for saying you'd take Mike over either of them. But that is quite an argument to make. Willow Meadowbrook goes on to say Davante Adams should have been the MVP talks, not Rodgers. Without him, they don't get in the playoffs. I mean,
I don't know. Rodgers was pretty unbelievable too, and he made it work for a few games without Davante Adams as well.
Also, let's call a spade. A receiver is completely dependent on where the quarterback throws the ball. You know what I mean? Like every receiver debate has to also include who they're playing with quarterback wise, right? So
Yeah.
Willow, you've thrown out some great comments. We appreciate it. I'm not sure if I'm fully on board with that one, but if you're just emphasizing how good Adams has been, then that's for sure. He's incredible.
Yeah, and then I was trying to think too. I'm like, I was curious. I'm going to ask you guys again, like, put you on the spot again. Who do you think is the best defensive player in this game? And that's a tough one to throw in the spot as well.
You know what's funny? I'm pretty sure if you go back to our preview of these teams, I think there was a point where I'm pretty sure it was Fred Warner, or it was Bobby Wagner. I can't remember, but I was like, "Hey, would you take Fred Warner over Devin White? Would you trade those two?" And you were like, "No, not a chance."
But I still wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah, I still wouldn't.
Even after, like, why?
Because I just think Devin White.
His guy, man. That's his guy.
Of course, that's part of it, but I also just think I'm viewing what's going on with Devin White now as a bit of a rut and a bit of a struggle, and I'm not going to give up on him while he's unemployed. Like, just to use an analogy, like, the old lady's unemployed. I'm not kicking her out of the house. I trust the talent I invested in way back when I got down on one knee and proposed to her. I'm not just going to kick her out now because she's not bringing any bread in the house.
There is a lot to unpack with that analogy, my friend. There is a lot going on that we will have to discuss offline. But yeah, point taken, I suppose. I hear you. You're sticking with your boy Devin, even in the this downward season here. But I don't know. What about a healthy Bosa? A healthy Bosa is pretty good.
Yeah,
and it's different. Like, it's different because it's a position.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's part of what you got to address when you're asked the question. You got to.
But you said who's the best defensive player. So
exactly what I'm.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm still talking about the Devin White for Fred Warner thing. As a unbiased NFL fan,
right.
I would take Fred Warner.
Yeah. Well, I also convinced you to bet Devin White over tackles last week, and he only needed 2 in the second half, and he missed it. So I think there's recency bias at play your way here.
Recency bias of this whole season as well, too.
Yes, totally. My point is, you can't, like, Devin White's ceiling as a linebacker is higher than other than Micah Parsons, if you want to call him a linebacker. Like, it's higher than any of theirs, and I really truly believe that he's going to sort it out and get closer to what he was last year, especially in the playoffs, than what he's been this last stretch of games. So, and I think it might even start this weekend. But Jair Alexander is another name you got to mention, right? On the Packers.
That would have been
He's been hurt,
sure.
but I probably side with Bosa personally, because when he's playing, he's so good, and all he's got to do is get to the quarterback. You can, as great as like Jair Alexander's really, really good, but there's ways that you could take a cornerback out of a football game. You can't.
100%.
Not as easy to take an elite edge rusher, and Bosa he's way better than his brother. Nick Bosa is better, in my opinion. So I really like
Joey Bosa is better than Nick.
No, Nick Bosa is better.
Nick is better than Joey.
Yeah. I think I might have said Joey before.
Okay.
I was listening to a podcast today, Bet the Board podcast. It's great. And they were saying basically, if this is a regular season game, Bosa isn't playing. But because it's a playoff game, he will be playing. So just for whatever that's worth, I mean, try to devise exactly how healthy he's going to be, but that's kind of where that's the reporting about how healthy he's going to be for this game. So
tough to speculate on that with a concussion, though. No,
that's the scary part with concussions, right? Is that if this wasn't a playoff game, we would probably lean in your long-term health, but because it's a playoff game,
right?
Concussions are so wild, wild.
Yeah, and like Roger Goodell, I'm going to breeze on past this topic because I think it's time. So I guess real quick, I'll tell you mine. I'm going to take. Goddamn, Scott wants to score, but I'm going to say the Niners are going to cover at Green Bay, and similar to the first game, I got the road team covering but not winning. I think the Packers will, let's say, win. Let's say 23-19. 19, random number. 23-19.
Yeah, don't worry. It's not like I just said anything about something like that earlier. I'm kind of with you. I think a close game. I'll pick a human score of 24-20.
Oh
man.
Just trying to take the over of my numbers.
No, just trying to take like logical football scores. That's all.
I know I'm not a numbers guy.
I'm sorry. I know this is probably giving you anxiety just talking about it, but yeah, similar. I'd love to. I want to take San Fran. I really do, but I just think it's just such a hard ask. It's just such a beating Green Bay, beating Rodgers is a different animal than the Cowboys even, right? So I love San Fran. I love their squad, but I think it ends.
Especially with Jimmy G as their quarterback. Like, imagine
it's so tough. Yeah.
And like how
Trey Lance came into that game in week 3 and scored. Hey, like that was just like a play that they ran that we just thought Trey Lance is just going to be a part of this offense.
Why aren't they doing that a little bit? Like,
we might see it. They never did it again after that week. I'm pretty sure. Maybe they're saving it for this playoff game.
Do you like that though? Seriously, do you like that?
What?
Like saving stuff and keeping something in the playbook?
Oh, I see what you're thinking. It's bad for growth. I don't think it's bad to have like sub packages that you can run out there and like short, like the red zone guy, the way the Raiders are using Mariota kind of thing, even a little bit.
Taysom Hill with Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Honestly, Jimmy G's confidence couldn't be any lower than it was coming into this year anyway. So obviously he's fine. Like
that's true. I don't know. To me, it's a little gimmicky, but I guess there's merit to it.
I literally can't pick a team. Like I can feel that the score is going to be 31-24, but I have no idea who's going to win between the two of them. I'm going to say the Packers.
No, just give me the score, bro. If you get the score,
it's 31-24. Take great. The over.
All right. We don't know who's winning yet, though. We'll get back.
If you just pick the score correct, but don't pick the team, I still think that counts. Like I think that's just as impressive.
Yeah, come back next week because I will shock. If I got the score right, I'll shotgun on the air.
Nice. Yeah. We like that. Definitely cheering for that 31-24 score. Is that what you said? 31-24. Yeah. Scotty's writing these down in his little brain.
Does that one make sense? I think that one makes sense.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns and a field goal.
Yeah, there you go, bud. You're all over it.
Well, I got news for you. Football doesn't always make sense. So maybe 23-19 is going to be the way it goes. Anyway,
19 isn't that bad. That's fair.
Thank you. Anyway, I think a lot of our usual listeners are like, when are these guys going to talk about the Buccaneers? Well, here we are. Man, the amount of information I've consumed as it relates to this game over this past week is just crazy. My brain is spinning. I just want the game to happen. We got to wait another day. The Rams traveling to Raymond James. Bucs are favored by 3 still, which I've found perplexing, to be perfectly honest. That game's playing at 3 p.m. on Sunday on NBC. Obviously, these teams met earlier in the season with the Rams winning 34-24 at SoFi Stadium in LA. Really, like that was one of those first marquee games of the year. There was a bunch of good games that week, actually. I think that Niners.
What week was it, Collin? Sorry, did you just say?
Was it week 3 or week 5? I thought it was week 3.
I think it
was
week
early.
3.
Yeah, I think it was week 3. And then they had
Okay.
But anyway, these teams have changed since then. I mean, Deshaun Jackson had a big game and a huge touchdown. Of course, he did against us there. He's no longer there. Also, what I kind of forgot was how banged up the Bucs secondary was in that game. D. Delaney was out there. Like they had Murphy Bunting was out. Like everyone was. All these guys were hurt. Like, but just like in terms of, I guess, the O-line has been the talk of the town, especially in Tampa Bay, right? With Tristan Wirfs and Ryan Jensen's injuries, even Josh Wells, Tristan Wirfs' potential backup being hurt, like just, the sky has been falling in Buckland. If for anyone who watches football understands the importance of having a second-year All-Pro, first-team All-Pro right tackle Tristan Wirfs go down, that's catastrophic, right? That's the one steadying factor that Tom Brady has had to rely on with all these other skill position players in and out of the lineup. That unit up front has just been incredible. We've talked about it constantly, so we don't need to continue to reinforce that. Same with any Bucs fans listening are aware. So anyway, Tristan Wirfs was at practice today, and who knows what's going to happen. I can't believe he suited up. I guess they needed to be able to make a call. It sounds like he's going to give it a go. But let me just tell you, the videos that I saw, he didn't look too confident yet. And I'd almost have rather him just been icing that sucker and them treating it all day. But then it comes out that Andrew Whitworth 40-year-old, but don't let that undersell how effective he is as a left tackle protecting Matt Stafford's blind side. He's out. He got ruled out along with their other safety. So the Rams are also gonna be out both safeties. So all of a sudden, this change of the tide, I'm like, oh shit, like maybe I'm, coming into this game. I've just been saying it makes no sense for the Bucs to be favored at all, let alone by 3.5 or 3.
Well, come on. Yeah, yes, it does. They're at home and they have Brady. Like yes, it does make sense.
Sorry. Okay. So what I'm saying then is it would be a great bet to take the Rams is ultimately what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. You might not agree with the number, but like to go in there and make the Rams the favorite on the road, like that's not going to happen.
I know. I get that. I'm more just like saying the number's not right at all. That's what I'm ultimately trying to say.
Number's not right. I think that's totally fair. It's just with Brady, they get the field goal, right? Like that's just how that's going to go. But I see where you're coming from. Like if you're power ranking these teams, it sounds like you would have the Rams, this version of the Rams ahead of this version of the Bucs, right? Like that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, without Tristan Wirfs, with a banged up Jensen, unreliable receivers. Like who knows the condition Leonard Fournette's going to be in. Half our best defensive players are hurt. Like, yeah, absolutely. This version of the Bucs is completely ravaged by injury. And I think for a team as good as the Rams to be given that many points, again, this was before the Whitworth injury, that affects them as well. But I just seems like way too much.
On the Rams side, though, Whitworth went down in I think the first play of the game. He came back and played the rest of the first half, but couldn't go in the second half. And they probably held him out knowing that, hey, he's going to need a little bit of extra time. As far as their safeties, like getting Rapp going down is horrible for them. That's even amplifies Jordan Fuller was already out for them last week as well too. So they haven't had safeties. I'm pretty sure they called up Eric Weddle, and Weddle came out of retirement and played last week.
Yeah.
And the Rams didn't miss a step. You're totally right. The team that you guys saw in week 3 is 100% better. They turned Deshaun Jackson into Odell Beckham Jr. They just added Von Miller. Von Miller just is on their team now. If you are going up against a defensive line, I can't think of another defensive line that would be worse to be going up with when you have a little bit of offensive line issues. So this is going to be a very tough game for the Bucs. Probably the toughest game of the year.
And that's the crux of the issue with, as much as there is one with Brady, is he obviously gives you no scrambling unless it's a complete green pasture in front of him, right, for him to take off. So he combats that obviously with God level getting the ball out quick. So it all kind of balances itself. But is he going to have enough time? Are the Bucs receivers going to get open enough for them to score enough points here, right? I tend to think that they will. I trust them. I think if Wirfs is even 75%, that's still pretty good. I read today, or I listened today, he gave up 2 sacks and had 1 holding penalty all year. So even if he's, I don't want to say a shell of himself, but a lesser version, you still have to have him on the field. He's that valuable. He's that good, right? But
he's it's not Tristan Wirfs you're getting. If it's anything the guy we saw last week, he gave up a sack, I think, to Brian Kerrigan.
But exactly, Bo. He's given up 2 sacks in his 2 years in the NFL, including postseason. And then the one play he played after this injury, he gave up a sack.
Yeah. And he would have gave up one on every drive if he stayed in that game. Brian Kerrigan didn't have a sack before that game, and he got one against Tristan Wirfs, against that version of Tristan Wirfs.
And it seems to be kind of ridiculous to nitpick this, but it's his right foot too, which is really the leg you're putting all your weight back onto, playing on that
you're
right.
Driving off of it, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what's bracing you playing on that right side of the line. So,
well, that's where it comes down to, because they're not going to be able to score if Brady has those Rams mutants in his face all game, right? So they're going to have to figure out a way to get the ball out quickly to protect Brady. And, maybe this results in less deep shots. and it's going to be more extended drives, which I do think they have like the personnel to do that, right? To throw out of the backfield. You have Gronkowski over the middle to release some of the pressure. But then it also comes to, like, is Gronk more of a blocker now, right? Because he's such an effective blocker. Do you have to help him with, like, do you have to use him to help the line? Just because he's so valuable at both catching the ball and blocking, but they need to keep Brady upright, right? So, like, that part of the game to me is absolutely fascinating.
To me, like, you absolutely have to have Gronk in the passing game. Like, he has to be in this passing game this week. Like, as much as we want to talk about how much the Rams have added on the defensive side of the ball and offensively, like, the Bucs have taken we've every week since Chris Godwin's gone down and then we got rid of Antonio Brown went out. And we're not going to talk about Antonio Brown, but, like, we've been like, oh, like, it'll be cute. Like, let's see if Tyler Johnson can get going. Let's see if Rashad Perriman you need those guys. You need Cyril Grayson. You need all three of those guys to be productive, or at least one of those three to be a very productive receiver to beat this Rams team.
Bo, I'm more just thinking because Gronk is such a good blocker that the drop off from Gronk to Brate, like to Cameron Brate as a receiver, is less detrimental than, like, having Brate in there as a blocker. That's where
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
You want Gronk running route. He's
especially this game. I think there's just, like, there is a need for that, like, release valve, because with the way that the wide receiver position has worked out for the Bucs, you now have Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans, and if that's a wash, if that matchup is a wash this game, it's not the most surprising thing. So now you're relying on Gronk and whoever you can get out of those three guys that we just named.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting in terms of bringing up that boat and Ramsey and Evans. I mean, the Rams, the way they've used Ramsey this year hasn't been like years previous where you lock him down outside against a team's number one wideout. They've been playing him in the slot a ton.
Letting him roam,
Yeah, and they haven't been having him follow guys around, right? So I'll tell you this much. If they're going to stick to that philosophy, I think that's awesome for Bucs.
That's huge for the Bucs. But do you really think that's what they're going to do?
Well, exactly. Like, so is now the time when but here's the thing. They're so consistent. They've been so consistent with their defensive, like, schematically with their defensive scheme all year that it would certainly be taking them all. Like, in order to do that, they would be changing their entire defensive philosophy. So it would require quite a bit of execution to be to be done. They would have to execute that. That would be quite a challenge. So either way, there's a positive there if they switch it, and if they stay the same, then Evans is going to get to go to work against someone who's not equipped to handle him. And sure, they may try and double him, but I would just want him to not have to necessarily deal with Ramsey every time. I think that'd be, you know how you say, like, if you want to know what a coach should do, you think about, if you're the other team, what would you want them to do? And that is a great way to kind of guide it. Like,
what would the fans want the other team to do?
Exactly. So
the problem with this, though, is that they're so weak and depleted at safety that they basically have no option but to give Jalen Ramsey the one-on-one with Mike Evans. Because if you don't, you basically have a one-on-one with whoever he's matched up against. Darius Williams hasn't been the same guy as he was last season.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh? It's true. Like, he's just not getting much love.
Oh, that's true.
And it's just like, it's going to be really, really tough for them to say, okay, Ramsey, let's just keep doing what we've been doing because that's what we've been doing. If Mike Evans has like 80 yards and a touchdown at halftime. Like, if I could see them maybe trying to stick with it for a half, but if this is a close game going into the second half, they're just going to say, Jalen Ramsey, you take out Mike Evans. Just do it.
Right. And if that happens, someone's obviously going to have to step up. I mean, Rashad Perriman has like a torn muscle. So in his like core, he's out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, Cyril Grayson may be back now. I think potentially he's been doing some work at practice. Like, it's crazy.
Revolving door, man. This is crazy.
It's so tough. It's
crazy how bad I want Cyril Grayson to play. Like, I'm refreshing my Twitter.
You can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
A guy who didn't play a snap of college football is now like the most important guy in an NFL playoff game.
Unreal. Yeah. Track star. Maybe this is the Scooter game everyone's been calling for. Maybe it's time.
I didn't, like, think about that. I didn't even get to the Scooter. I didn't even think of him.
Could this be
this was his weekend?
Could this be a long-term plan? Like, could Leftwich and Bruce Arians have just planned this? Want everyone to think they've written off Scotty Miller? Because everyone's kind of like, what the hell? How is Scotty Miller not getting any looks? We've been saying it. Everyone in the chat all year has been saying it. What if this was all a part of their plan to just let that little chihuahua off the leash once they get to this dog park? Right? Hey, unleash the Scotty. Unleash the scooter. Go get him, little guy.
This is the time. Do your thing. Tire yourself out. We all want to go to bed.
Yeah. Throw that toy with Kevin King's face on it as far as you can and go get it.
Can we go through the Rams, like the Stafford? I guess everybody's seen the Stafford versus the Blitz stuff. I don't know.
Oh my God, Bowden.
So take us. I've got it all here. I wrote it down. Like, everybody knows Todd Bowles just known for blitzing. I think in the last 6 seasons, he's been within the top 6 of his defensive minimum top 6 of pressure rate and blitz rates, even when he's with the Jets. Stafford versus the Blitz is a 139.6 passer rating, 16 TDs to 1 interception this year, second best ratio of all of the NFL. 71.5% completion percentage, 4th in the league this year against the Blitz, and 10 yards per attempt on against the Blitz, 2nd in the league. Monday against the Blitz, against the Cardinals, he went 7 for 9 for 148 yards with 1 touchdown. And the crazy thing about all of this is that the blitzes just don't get to him. So with Whitworth being out, maybe that's a little bit worse. But Noteboom's coming in, which is kind of like, if you weren't a Bucs fan, I'd probably would just buy you that jersey to wear, Collin. But anyways, the blitzes don't really get to Stafford. 18.2% pressure rate, 5.1% are end up in sacks on that end. And the Bucs, like I said, 38% sack rate, 31% pressure rate. But when Stafford faced the blitz from the Bucs on week 3, he went 7 for 9 again, 81 yards and a touchdown, 141 passer rating, basically the highest passer rating he had in any segment of his stats all year. So this is literally saying, Todd Bowles, what you've done has worked until now, but you have to change. You have to do something completely different than you've been installing all season.
I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, which is like, if you just blindly Brandon Staley look at the stats, Stafford should rip this defense up then again.
You want to know the last time people thought he wasn't going to? Todd Bowles completely alter his blitz heavy approach. Yeah,
well, interestingly enough, against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl,
who
also had a very injured offensive line at the time.
The parallels are there, and great homework today, Bodan. God, you should not go to work every day, bro, because you're bringing the heat with some.
Maybe this should be our job.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've been telling you not to go to work for weeks. Like, get over it. It's a fad. Get over it.
Just to add to that, Bo, like, I think what the Bucs are going to need to do is generate pressure with their 4-down linemen. Like I said, similar to what they did against Kansas City, and try to make sure they're protected on the back end to limit damage through the air. They're going to have to trust that their run D can stop. They ultimately dare the Rams to run it a little bit.
I think so.
But the Rams are like, that's the crazy thing about this, that the Rams are a running team. Like, they are a running team, not like by design. Like, they did it with Goff by necessity because they just didn't trust Jared Goff. But now, like Cam Akers being back after 8 months after tearing his Achilles and running over Budda Baker to the point that he has to be checked out in the hospital. Like, that's insane that he's even able to play at that rate. But
I couldn't believe how good he looked. He looked real spry.
He looked insanely good for a guy who had a torn Achilles is a career-ending injury for basically anyone else except Cam Akers, I guess, and Kevin Durant.
I don't get how he's back already. But I think it's like just the lesser of two evils. But I think they're going to try to force him to beat him running, especially with what you said about how effective Stafford's been like against the blitz in passing situations, right? So it's hard. There's not always an easy answer when you're playing an elite team and I'll say a very good quarterback, not elite quarterback, even whatever. I mean, that's literally splitting hairs. But big spot for Stafford.
Huge.
He hasn't been in anything
playoff
like
game
this.
Basically.
Yeah, not even anything close to this. And now he's on the road at Brady, basically. Let's see what he does. Like, I'm a Stafford stan. I want the Bucs to win, but I want Stafford to play well, because I don't want the stories to be, oh, this is what you would have gotten anyway, or he's never been able to do it. Doesn't matter which team he's with, blah blah blah. I think it's going to be a great game. Like I said, I just don't want. I really don't want Stafford to throw up all over himself here. It just, I think he's better than that, and I think he's going to come out and play well.
Well, it's funny. I'm more scared of Matt Stafford than I should be, based on how he's taking care of the football over this tail end of the season, I guess. But they looked really good.
A lot of picks.
Exactly. But they look. But here's the thing, though. It wouldn't necessarily be his fault. But I think turnovers is going to be. I think the Bucs are going to need at least one turnover to win this game.
I think Stafford has like 10 picks in his last 4 or 5 games or something like that. Like, I think you can almost count on getting one thrown to you.
Right. Yeah. So let's call it 2 turnovers then. However,
I think one per half.
Yeah. No, but Collin, I see what you mean. Turnovers are so random. Whenever you get one in a game, you feel like you're super fortunate, right? So yeah.
And what I was going to say, though, is I don't think that's necessarily going to be a result of Stafford being careless, because I have this feeling, man, like what I saw from this Buccaneers secondary, especially last week, if the D-line is a step healthier. Also, by the way, I saw today the Rams have like one of the worst centers in football, and he's going up against Vita Vea again.
Yeah, it's scary.
Always got to bring up Big Vita. Everyone sleeps on the big fella. Don't do it, folks. Don't do it.
Everyone could probably fit on him if they had to sleep on him. It's true.
Easiest
California King.
California King. That's so good. Easiest bandwagon to jump on is the one that can fit everyone.
There's just a ton of room.
But the secondary, man, like we talked about it. We got that 3 safety look where Antoine Winfield Jr. managed to slide in to play the nickel spot incredibly well. Again, it was against the Eagles. I know, not a huge aerial threat, but regardless, like, they just looked like they were back, and they're finally healthy almost. Like, Sean Murphy-Bunting may be back, so if he's back, he'll probably inherit a good chunk of those reps playing that nickel position. But I'm really curious to see what they can do. I'm really curious. I think it's going to be a fun game. And
hey, I guess put you on the spot. Would you rather be playing the Niners in this game, or would you rather be playing the Rams?
I would rather play the Niners. Yes.
Yeah. Just because of the injuries, or just like 2 healthy squads?
The quarterback.
Because of the quarterback. Okay, yeah. True.
I would say that would be the biggest thing. I'm actually more scared of Shanahan than I am even McVay.
Shanahan's better than McVay.
Like, as a play caller, right? Which is like the essence of it.
I like McVay more than Shanahan.
Well, I'll tell you this: McVay has. I mean, that's a silly debate too, right? Because we really don't know the intricacies of them. If we got to know them both and like we're behind the scenes, maybe we'd all switch. It's just kind of our impression from our vantage point in the nosebleeds, I guess.
I'm just like going off Shanahan's record versus McVay. That's all. Like, just some crazy stuff. True. Just the fact that it's better. I know that's wild. It's a crazy thought.
But McVay has a better record overall against everybody else.
You're right.
Well, I'll tell you one thing McVay does have, and that's Todd Bowles' number. So I almost think Todd Bowles is due to pull out that Kansas City miracle from last year, because I think you can get lucky and like take advantage of Todd Bowles so many times. But I do trust that man and the way he's wired to come up with what needs to be done. So we'll see what happens. I want to tell you guys a fact. I want to end this on a fact, and then of course you'll have an opportunity to jump in with any additional insight.
Wait, you're gonna end it on a score prediction?
Oh shit! Right.
Yeah. Start thinking about
that. Also a fact.
Yeah, that was my fact. The Rams this year were 2-5 against playoff teams in the regular season. 2-5. Yeah. Bucs were 4-1. So. Just, like we're talking. Are we talking about it the way I'm talking about it? The way everyone we're being, as Buccaneers fans, being fearful of this team. 2-5 versus playoff teams. I mean,
yeah, but one of those 2 is against the Bucs.
Sure, perfect. Like harder to do it twice. Like that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that's true.
And that means that's our one loss versus a playoff team this year is the Rams. So we lost to KC in the playoffs in the regular season as well last year, right?
Yeah.
So. Anyway, in terms of,
let's see. Sorry, just one more. Let's see Devin White step up. Let's see. He's gonna be asked to cover some of those tight ends like Higbee. He's got to play well, man. He's gonna have to do something. He's gonna have to either, play well in coverage, which isn't exactly what he's known for. He's gonna have to stuff the run. Let's see him get into this game early and really make an imprint, because if those linebackers who are so good for the Bucs can like show out early in this game, I love their chances, and I think that could be the difference maker.
Well, that's the tough part of the whole argument of don't blitz Stafford, is that you have to drop Devin White back in coverage, which is the weakest part of his game.
Yeah. Well, here, let's see it. Let's see if he can do it. Higbee's good too. It's not like
Higbee's really good.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's so many.
I think go with this. Let's go Scott with the score, then I'll go with the score. Colin's gonna.
Okay, I'm rocking. I'm not just. I like the Bucs. I think they're gonna win the game. Give me 28-20 Bucs. But it's close. It's close. Like it's the Rams have the ball. Like I'm picking them to cover the Bucs, but it's a close one-score game, I should say.
I'm going 34-17 Rams.
Holy shit! Off the top rope.
I know. It's just a
beatdown.
It's another one of those where it's just like, yeah, I think if the Rams are going to win, like I do think the Rams are going to win, and I think they pile it on if they do win.
I think the Bucs are going to win 34-31 on a last-second field goal by Ryan Suckup, and that's just to get specific.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch this game.
I literally don't know if I can wait that long, but at least at least we have some good football.
How are we going to watch a game after this?
Yeah,
I know. Well, luckily it's pretty good as well. So
yeah,
tomorrow's going to be crazy. And we're going to finish off on that game. Biggest things in terms of this Bucs Rams game, I'm most curious to see. Are the Rams going to use Ramsey differently? What's funny? I just realized that Jalen Ramsey's the root word of his last name is Rams. Huh.
Yeah.
Ramsey.
It was destiny.
It was destined.
Are they going to use him differently than they have throughout the regular season? Are they going to shadow Evans? How are they going to alter their plan? And then on the other side, is Todd Bowles going to be able to chill on blitzing and adjust his approach specifically for this matchup and play more conservative to just let his horses win the race for him? Can he be hands off a little bit in that sense? So we'll have to see. Last but not least, oh boy, we're going overtime today, fellas.
We're rush through the best game of the week.
Yeah, so
this is why we do it.
Here we go, man. Buffalo Bills at Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are -2.5. Last I checked. Scotty can correct me if I'm not, because I know he
-2. I think we checked before we went on the air.
Okay, that's 6:30 p.m. Sunday, CBS. I mean, these teams met way back in week 5, and the Bills put together one of their most impressive games of the season. They won 38-20 at Arrowhead. Allen was fantastic in that game. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, also rushing for a score with 60 yards on the ground. And the Bills defense, this is just my notes here. The Bills defense did manage to pick off Mahomes, including a pick 6 for Micah Hyde. So, I mean, Micah Hyde playing well, Bills D looking good, and Josh Allen looking good. It's almost like you picked it up right now, like coming off their incredible performance on Wild Card Weekend. But obviously the Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense has started to regain form since their early season struggles. This is an incredibly captivating game when you consider it's 2 of the brightest stars in the league at any position, like, transcendently talented quarterbacks. New school, right? Leaders of the new school, the new age, and they're going head to head. I think what I think is that the Bills actually have a better all-around team on paper in ways, but I think the Chiefs offense is just so special with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and the revamped offensive line. So they have strengths. This game could go either way. That's why the line's so close. Really curious to hear what you guys are most looking forward to seeing in this one.
I can't get over how ridiculous this game could potentially be. Like the Chiefs, I think for the Bills, let's start off with the Bills perspective. This is literally what you've been building towards since you've drafted Josh Allen, basically. Like, you've been building this team to beat this team. Like, it's just an insane spot to be in. Like, I think sometimes in sports you get to these moments where you're just like, okay, like we have to beat this team for any of this to matter. And this is it. This is like actually it. Like, you guys had a shot at it last year and you whiffed at it. And I don't even know where to start with this game, honestly.
Yeah, no, Bo, you're so right though. Like, it's not lip service anymore. It's like, oh no, this is the thing that we were talking about, and now it's
this is why you still have a job, Sean McDermott.
Yeah,
was because
exactly.
you convinced us you could do this.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And then the event of these two teams playing is what's about to happen, right? I think about that all the time. Like, no, this is it. It's like I always think about that too when like great NBA players are actually guarding each other. It's like, is everyone seeing this? Like, this is like, it's those two. It's not like a video game. We're not talking about them. It's like, no, like he's guarding him. Like, that's anyway.
It's like we never actually got a finals with LeBron and Kobe.
Yeah.
Like, this is like actually what it was like. They were always eyeing each other up, but like this is it.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, like this is like we said, this is the game. This is where Buffalo wants to be. Obviously, they would have rather had it at home. I mean, I'm still so weirded out by Josh Allen. Like, he's undeniably talented and so fun. You know what I mean? Like, just from a fun perspective, he would be at the top of the rankings. Is like, oh, who does a fan base want to have as their quarterback? Which for like most of last year and even leading into this year, I was kind of like, but what is he going to do on a given week? Like, is he going to ride out on a unicycle at some point? Just to, like, I don't know, something weird. But he's really good, man, and he's, they're absolutely capable of going in and winning this game, and he is. And I just didn't think I would have been able to say that at the start of the season, beating Mahomes on the road. I still like Kansas City. I trust Mahomes more. I trust Andy Reid more than McDermott, and I like the home field advantage. So, like, great for Buffalo. They're fantastic. They've obviously had the bottom fall out of a couple games, but as we've talked about, their ceiling is as high as anyone's. Man, you got to go beat Mahomes in the playoffs here on the road. Like, it's just hard for me to see. It's just hard for me to picture, I guess.
And, you know, I feel like I'm kind of an O-line guy like Bo here, but like their offensive line is a completely altered unit. Like, it's huge. It's an asset now. Yeah. Trey Smith, 6th-round pick, one of my favorite draft picks. I called it when it happened out of Tennessee. I mean, that was an absolute steal. They got Creed Humphrey in the middle. They traded for Brown from Baltimore, so they completely revamped that unit. But what I'm thinking of as you guys are talking about this, especially like Scott, I know you know, with the Bills, we've talked about we've had different varying perspectives on the Bills all year. Not like we were too far one way or the other at all. But it's funny how much, like, remember 2019, Josh Allen in the playoffs, like, where he like looked like he ate
backwards against Houston.
Yeah, he looked like he ate magic mushrooms at halftime, and you were just like, "What is this guy going to be in the league?" Right, like supreme talent, but he seems a little off. But look at him now, man. When he could be, it's amazing. This is like,
it's such like this game. It's such a microcosm of Josh Allen in general. Like, last season, his best season without a doubt, his best season ever playing football. I'm pretty sure I said that in the division preview. That he never had another year playing, like, throwing the football as well as he did last season. And everyone was like, okay, there's going to be a regression. But it's like, what is that regression, right? Whereas I think I was watching PFF had a podcast on YouTube. I forget the name of it, but they gave out the highest rating they've given out to any quarterback for Josh Allen's game last game. Is he going to have that unbelievable game again? No. But is he going to regress? Yes. But how much, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much of a regression is going to happen here from where he was against the Pats? Because he stepped on their throat and, like, it in an unrepeatable way. So I don't know.
I certainly can't answer that, nor can anyone until we see what happens. But I just have this feeling that he's ready for this moment. Like, he's ready for it. And I think
what's fair. I think that's
the
fair.
weird part about this is that like Mahomes, like if you like, I feel like that's a take that I've heard multiple times today, that Josh Allen is just ready for this moment and this is his game to win, and like and like Mahomes all of a sudden is an underdog in a divisional playoff game.
Well,
Like it just feels something about this feels really weird to me.
Well, he's not an underdog.
But Bo's saying as the perceived underdog, like,
Josh Allen's gonna outplay Mahomes. Like that's like almost like NFL media has written that story already. Yeah. It's just waiting in the drafts.
Or even that Allen's ready to win this game. Well, so is fucking Patrick Mahomes. Let me tell you that, because he's better, right? Yeah. So like, let's acknowledge that fact. But I understand it. It's kind of similar to the Stafford thing. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I think Allen's going to play well. Yeah. Right? Like, I don't think he's going to be the issue or anything like that. But it's just, oh my God, it's a tall task, man. It's a tall task. No lead is safe against the Chiefs. And
the other thing I'll say for looking at when they played last time, the Chiefs' defense is completely different. Like Chris Jones isn't playing defensive end anymore. He's playing inside. They've got Melvin Ingram, and like, say what you will about Melvin Ingram, like he got cut from a team this year, but he's been very good for the Chiefs, and I think he could have a big game on the edge for them. And I don't know. I just feel like the Chiefs are so much different than they were at the first half of the season and the back half of the season. They figured it, like, for a team, we talk about the Titans figuring it out all at the right time. I feel like that is much more apropos for the Chiefs.
Yeah. And I mean, Bolton, rookie linebacker out of Missouri.
He's good.
He's the real deal. They obviously still got Tyrann Mathieu, Snead. So they got players, and they got a super aggressive defensive coordinator, right? And that you're going to kind of play with fire too, though, if you attack Josh Allen that way, because he's so mobile and he's so comfortable slinging the ball in any direction for as far as you could possibly need someone, a human being, to be able to launch a football. This is the game of the weekend. It's not like it's the perfect matchup. It seems like the perfect time. Both teams are surging, coming off of absolutely dominating victories. They're led by two of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL, at least on the younger side of things, the future of the league potentially. And this is Josh Allen's big opportunity to prove to the world that he is on the same level as Patrick Mahomes, and he needs to be considered as such. So I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, I hope Allen plays well. I hope the Bills play well. It's just a big ask. They're ready. Like, they're ready for him. They beat him. They like Bo was saying, obviously the Chiefs are different. That when the Bills beat them, they were kind of in that malaise of their shitty early season start, and they're obviously a better team since then. Yeah. But what a spot. And just, big for McDermott, I would say. Like, that's a big spot. And here's one thing. Sorry, I just wanted to. What if the Bills get absolutely run out here? What if it's 42-17 Chiefs? What do you? Yeah. What's the next step?
You could get a Marty Schottenheimer situation. Not like it would even be the same, but remember when he got fired when they went like 12-4 that year? Was it 13-3 or something?
With the Chargers?
Yeah, with the LT days. Like you could see them just thinking McDermott's not the guy to get it done. Because if he does anything questionable, because again,
dude, if McDermott's kicking field goals again,
well, that's what I'm getting at. Last year,
there's no way
he's out. There's that's like he's basically saying, like, I don't want to coach here.
McDermott seems well liked though by the Buffalo, Buffalo Bills fans I talked to. Our guy Matt Marchese from Sportsnet Fan 590, he wanted to come on tonight, but he couldn't. He said he'll be with us next week.
That'll be interesting either way.
Yeah, well, he said, he was like, well, if the Bills and Bucks go on, I'll be on next week. I'm like, you're coming on anyway, buddy. So
but my point,
I will say, I'm just like looking at who the Bills have played, and like, besides Mahomes in week 3 or week 5 it is, and Brady in whatever week it was late in the season, they haven't played anyone. They played the Patriots. They lost to the Patriots in that weird snow game. Lost to the Bucs the week following.
You mean the team you were trying to convince us were contender Patriots, or like a different Patriots?
No. That the contender Patriots are the ones who beat them. The ones that run the ball and just have a really great defense. Yeah, I like that team. But like since then, they played the Panthers, the Patriots again with that were banged up and not the same team, and then the Falcons and the Jets to close out the year. Then they played the Patriots again. Like they haven't played a quarterback like Mahomes or an offense like the Chiefs in a very long time.
I want to get to a couple comments before we pick our scores for this, because I just noticed I apparently shared this. We're on with my personal Facebook as well, not just Bucs Report. So that's funny.
Oh,
nice.
So hello, Mom. But a couple comments coming in on there is a good one. Was obviously earlier in the show is Brian Woody, our guy from one of Dundas's finest, says specifically to Bo, if the Bengals win this week, you got to get a pick in my Parkside jersey. If the Titans win, I'll get a picture in a Highland jersey.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's a great wager. Shout out to Brian Wood. We also have my Mike's Mike's Campus Barbershop, which is my the guy who cuts my hair. He's a big Titans fan. Too much pressure from the Titans D-line, too much for JoJo. Henry 126 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. His prediction is Titans 34, Bengals 20. Goes on to say tighten up again about 6 more times. Our guy Jay Drywall, Friday night pod, what a treat.
Let's go.
Old football buddy of mine, Kyle Hammond, using some profanity he sounds like a Bills fan because he's lipping off Tom Brady. So yeah, it is what it is. And then anyway, I think it's about time maybe we get to our predictions for this game. Who wants to lead us off? Talking Bills Chiefs, folks. We're gonna offer our score predictions. We're going to wrap up the episode.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think it's 24-17 Chiefs.
How about the guy jumping in and doesn't have a score ready?
I know. I was thinking. I know you guys weren't ready either.
I'm just kidding. I'll go. I think it's going to be higher scoring. I think it's going to be tough to stop both these offenses. I'll say 35-27 Chiefs.
I got 31-29 Bills at Arrowhead. So.
Oh, you're taking the Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. I think they do it. I think they do it tomorrow. So.
Hey, they're more than capable. Like, just legit. Can't wait to watch this game.
Yeah. It'll be a hell of a football game.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what happened earlier. I blacked out and I made some analogy about, like, I wasn't talking specifically about myself, about like if your partner's not like making enough money, you kick them out of the house. Anyway, I'm getting text from my fiance upstairs who feels super targeted, and I guess I understand why now. So I love you, Kate, and that was not in any way directed at you. If I could get some reinforcement.
Yeah, no, I don't know how she could have gotten that impression.
Yeah, she's really. I feel like she's gaslighting you, man. That's crazy.
If she is, that would be fair. I've been known to gaslight.
Oh my God, that is.
All right, we got to get going. My dog's going crazy in the back.
Yeah, me too. She's scratching at the door here.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed this extended version of our NFL Divisional Round playoff. We're excited if you can't tell. That's why we're on here on a Friday night. Join a couple pops and can't wait to get to these games this weekend. Starts off tomorrow. It's been fun. Remember, please, while you're here, visit our YouTube channel at Bucs Banter and like and subscribe. Goes a long way to helping us out. On behalf of Bodan Yard at Bono's Ball, Scott Capron at Captain Ron, I am Collin Hallboom signing off. Go Bucs.